Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we got ourselves a track from an act named Rewild titled In My Way. And if we switch over to here, this is not the first time I've checked out Rewild. I was about to say checked out Rewild. It'll be good to listen to more though. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, let's go, what have we got? Great rounded tone to it. Those pads in the background are fantastic.
The nails in the wall, I took down all your pictures. They're laying underneath my bed, I couldn't throw them away. Relics of the fall have shattered my conviction. I know it's dead, but I'm not ready yet to sweep you away.
Very double tracking. And lead transfer.
Why do I find myself still calling your name? I guess I'm growing insane without you. I'm sick of being strung up in the middle between you and my life. How am I supposed to find freedom when I just want the old days, dancing around the answer to the riddle? You're all that stands in my way.
Great use of echoes there.
You caught me in your snare, left me out here bleeding. I knew that we meant more to me. I should have known you walk away. You didn't seem to care. You gave up way too easy. It all went black. Looking back, I should have run the other way.
Great parallel major there.
Why do I find myself still calling your name? I guess I'm going insane again. I'm sick of being strung up in the middle between you and my life. How am I supposed to find freedom when I just want the old days, dancing around the answer to the riddle? You're all that stands in my way. You don't define me. Yeah, the stronger ever seems today we parted. Ain't nothing really much to say. You're all that stands in my way. You're all that stands in my way.
Great continuation here, I like it.
Why do I find myself still calling your name? I guess I'm going insane without you. Sick of being strung up in the middle between you and my life. I don't give a damn about freedom if I just want the old days, the answer to the riddle. You're all that stands in my way. You're all that stands in my way. You're all that stands in my way.
Saw a little bit of feedback at the end. I like that from the guitars. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Rewild titled In My Way. In this section I'm going to be providing an overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through to studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think the story that we're telling here is of someone who would rather be back in how things used to be as opposed to living their current life and being free. Like they understand that they're maybe away from this person, now they're clutches. They were in their snare previously. Or maybe they are currently there and they're just realizing that this person is the reason they can't be truly free. Like they're sort of psychologically captured or ensnared by them. I think this is something that people will be able to sort of like get behind. It's clearly a very personal track to Rewild. I appreciate the authenticity, and I think there'll be an audience for it. The vocal performance from Rewild is great. We have main vocals and sort of back double parts, double tracking, and sort of like chorus vocals and other overdubs and call and responses and all sorts of fun tricks that we're putting forward in order to create a compelling listening experience. And we tell the story in a way which I feel is believable and authentic. And there's some interesting legato passages and adjustments and use of chromatics as well outside the diatonic melodically, which makes the track a bit more interesting and sort of bluesy, which when you consider the blues scale makes sense considering the struggle that we're going through. Ultimately, I like the bit of vocal fry we have occasionally. It's great sort of texture and timbre to the voice as well, which suits the style of music, the kind of country rockish kind of vibe. And ultimately, I just feel like we're the full package at this stage. And I feel like the development that we have with the different layers as we go through the track allows this song, which has a relative sense of sort of like consistency with the intensity. I just feel like that sort of adjustment of the way we put the vocals forward is what keeps the track feeling fresh. At 3 minutes 45, I feel like this track is well fleshed out with a variety of different verses and choruses and solo parts, including a solo section on the guitar in the last half of it. I don't feel like there's any filler within it. We have a mixture of different instruments, some pads, some guitars, bass and drums with the vocals on top, as well as any other bits of ear candy that I might have missed. But ultimately, I feel like it's well fleshed out, and each of the different instruments performs the core function it needs to without oversaturating, overstaying the welcome. The guitars have a mixture of different picked elements there, some sort of big sounding chords there with a mixture of overdrive or distortion there. Great use of power chords there for a bit of extra push to not be too colorful, and the vocals are oscillating over top. Some great sort of like bendy unison parts there as sub leads there, and the use of space and call and responses with those guitar leads there is also very good. We're very comfortable with our rhythm playing, but we also know how to articulate and provide a nice foil for the vocals when applicable and when appropriate. But ultimately, if there is an upper part, it is a solo section. I just like the use of hammer-ons and pull-offs, the bends, the slides, the vibrato, etc. that we communicate, and the way that we allow ourselves to move through the solo section is also very good. We aren't just like relying on existing melodies to shape how we do things. We're kind of inching ourselves upwards and trying to find our way, sort of crawling ourselves out of the mire, I suppose, that we're in. The guitar, I think, is symbolic of that journey that they're having as they try to reach towards the light. Very, very good music. No complaints about the way that we approach things in that regard. It's just nice to have an alt lead which is competent and works well stylistically for the genre, as well as what suits the track there being nice and melodic and filling up a lot of the color that might not necessarily be there because of the rhythm section. The bass line underneath there is nice and thick and full and supportive of the root notes. The drums have a variety of different sort of crash cymbal and kick and snare grooves, typically working with like a normal time part and a slower tempo. Great use of flams in certain parts with the snare and sort of like great use of flams with the snare and tom transfers, not trying to be too quick about it, taking our time explaining our truth. Like, there are more technical fills. There was the use of 16ths and maybe even some rolls in 30 seconds and stuff like that, but ultimately it's more about the groove, the eighth note kind of carry across those hi-hat kick and snare patterns there. Mixture of on beats and syncopated, stuck to tempo without a note out of place. And the pads, I think when we have them, are more of a mid to upper range register kind of element there that's providing more dimensionality to the composition as opposed to trying to be too overwhelming to it. I like that we're using both main layers and sub layers and making the track sound huge where appropriate, especially because there are other parts where it's far more low-key and we have a sense of dynamic range through the piece. Thematically, it's minor leaning, I think, with some parallel majors though, to be fair, some relative and parallel majors from the vocal harmonies and some of the guitar parts. And I think that's just a sensible decision there because it kind of softens some of the intensity or depressive kind of like nature of the narrative, but whilst also kind of hinting at that things may improve at some point. It's an interesting kind of like equilibrium that we reach here, but one that I feel is respectful and mature. And so ultimately, I just think even though it is minor key oriented, we have some chromatics or sort of like fun little ideas there that kind of elevate the track to being quite, it's very well thought out and handled. And again, with the relative intensity, performance itself, with the consistency of those bass lines, chord progressions outside of the dynamic ranges and parts, it's nice to have those harmonic changes. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering, everything sounds huge, great, well behaved in terms of the drums, guitars, pads, and like those main sort of core instruments are well represented and presented here. The vocals as well have a great sense of presence in the mix, whether in the middle or the sides with the backing tracks and double takes. Yeah, lots of fun stuff happening with the vocals themselves there. The guitars are double tracked, so they sound huge. No word resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. Music surrounds you in the stereo field, nice and wide. There is dynamic range from a production perspective. Things don't seem too squeezed, but still nice and loud. Bus compression limiting is handled. Ultimately, no applicable constructive critique for me. I just feel like as an isolated concept, this works very, very well. I'm just, from a general listener's perspective, I kind of wonder how we carry on from this, whether we talk about our kind of journey away from this person, maybe getting away from their toxic situation, and then where we go from there with our music. But I suppose we'll just have to see how things go. In the meantime, I had a great time with this track. Thank you for watching my review of the song from an act named Rewild, titled In My Way, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.